we are dramatically undercharging relative to the value we provide in the industry. Hello, everyone, and welcome to a special episode of the Perfect RIA podcast with Micah Shalansky and Matthew Jarvis and a special guest, John, one of our INVICTUS members. So, gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Jarvis,
thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure to be here. And John, I'm super excited to chat with you on this one because this is, number one, kudos to you for raising your hand and saying, holy crap, I'm having some head trash issues. I'm having some concerns, because these are things that really come up with all of us. I'm sure you're a special and unique snowflake in many ways, but this just isn't one of them, right? This is an area that we all have one of these issues. So thanks for raising your hand.
Absolutely.
So, John, this conversation came from you attended one of our INVICTUS masterminds, and one of your extreme accountabilities, which we won't share all the details because obviously confidential, was to adjust your fee schedule so it better reflected the value that you provide to clients. And like all of us, you left the room a little bit green in the face because it's scary to do. And then you get back to the office and there's a reality of, hang on a second, everywhere I go, they're talking about fee compression. They're talking about lowering fees. Vanguard's 30 bips for dial a CFP. So kind of tell us where you're at. Tell us your concerns. Just let's jump right in.
Sure. So I basically made an extreme accountability to increase my fees up to the first $2 million of assets. And when I got back to my office, I realized that would put me much more expensive than pretty much every RA in this area, past $1 million to $2 million.
Sure.
The first $1 million, I don't have a problem with. I don't have any sort of head trash in that area. It's more so between 1 and 2.
You're looking at on a relative basis is your concern. So like if everybody else in your town was charging higher than what you were going to charge, then do you think it feel to be okay? Or is it like, where do you think the head trash is coming from?
The head trash is that it would by far put me in the most expensive RA in St. Louis. And I think St. Louis has a pretty strong RA presence because it's the home of Edward Jones and A.G. Edwards, now Wells Fargo, it's Stifel Nicholas, and so there's a lot of people from those places that spin off and do their own RA. So there's a big RA presence here.
So John, if we widen that net out just a little bit, are you the most expensive advisor, right? I'm not going to say RIA. Are you the most expensive advisor in your area? Because you just listed off Edward Jones and Stifel. So are you more expensive than Edward Jones all-in fees?
I'm just going off of what I read on the ADV. So, and I was telling Matt that I pulled probably 50 different ADVs just to see where I would be in the marketplace. But I know the answer that you're looking for is no, because when you figure in mutual fund fees and all the things that get caked in, absolutely. I have a feeling though that Edward Jones has been migrating their business more to the fee-based side, and so I think naturally when you go there, you're not allowed to charge 12B1 fees and stuff like that. So
that's something to keep in mind, right? Okay, you're looking at it through a certain lens where you appear to be the most expensive. I'm going to push back and say you're probably not, but let's just throw that at the window, right? Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe you are going to be the most expensive. A couple things to think with that. Now, a couple things I'm going to push back on you. One, I would never have told you to go pull the ADVs of everyone else in your area. ADVs are fantastic to pull when you think someone's giving you a line of BS, then you want to see how much money they have. They're great, but I'm not going to compare my business to them because do I want to have their business? So all of the ADVs that you pulled, is there one in there that you're like, holy crap, this is the model that I want to duplicate? I mean, hands down, I want to do everything the exact same that they're doing.
Are you talking about their service model?
The whole company, the whole structure of the company. Right, because that's what you said. You said, I'm going to pull their fee model. So what does that mean? They're charging that fee to do the service model, the client levels, the growth model that they want to have. More than likely, it's probably reactive. It's probably not proactive, but let's say it's proactive. That's what they're designing for their company. Are you building their company or are you building your company? Which one is it?
Well, I should be building my company, but I do.
And you are.
But I do take notes and I take notice of what my competition does. And I think that legitimately there are RIAs that are bringing immense value. You know, some of these RIAs have a way of communicating that they are truly the family's CFO. And
Sure.
anything that is revolving around a dollar sign, a call's made out to that team. Yeah, that's where I'm at, is that I do have a lot of respect for some of these, but yeah, I do not have this. I'm not building their business, to answer your question.
Okay, so if we're not building their business, we got to take a step back, right, when we're analyzing it. Now, we can still have mad respect for them. There's a lot of advisor offices that I would not duplicate what they're doing, but I'm like, you're doing something really well. That's not the model I'm choosing to replicate, but you're still adding value to clients, and there's mad respect over there. But I'm not going to base my decisions if that's not the business I want to make. So if I'm not making that business, I need to pivot this and look somewhere else and to say, okay, how do I add value to my clients that's there? So get out of the competition mindset, because you got to be the leader, not the follower on this standpoint, right? So much head trash, I think, comes in because we're following what other people have done, but we don't want to go the direction they're going. So we're choosing to walk down that path, but we don't like the end result. Stop. Let's make a left-hand turn, right? And say, hey, this is the direction that we're going to go. And sometimes that means you got to lead. And that's where I think the head trash comes in. Jarvis, your thoughts?
Yeah, the other thing that comes to mind, Micah, which does not show up in the ADV at all, right, is the service model, right? And am I trying to compete on price, which is a tough game to win? Like once we go down I want to compete on price, I'm competing with Vanguard, right? I'm competing with Schwab Virtual, Fidelity Virtual. I want to compete on value. We have in our personal mastermind, Mike, as you know, there's an advisor, and we always tease him about his preferred mode of transportation. In fact, we just ruthlessly ask him if he took the Greyhound bus to our event. We say, we'll call him Bob as well. We say, Bob, did you take the Greyhound here? And he says, no, of course I didn't take the Greyhound. Well, think about how much money you would save, even compared to row 27 in Southwest and the middle seat. Like you could have still saved a couple of bucks on the Greyhound. And so there's always going to be a cheaper option. Obviously, our price, there's some sort of cap somewhere hypothetically, though, again, realtors are charging 7% of a levered asset. Attorneys are charging 33% of your car accident proceeds. So we're by no means a loaded variable annuity all ins at 3 or 4%. So we could try to compete on price. It's just not a thing I want to go down to. And I would take the other one. Like let's chase this fear a little bit further, John. So somebody comes in, they say, my goodness, John, you are at X in fees, and the shop down the road, they're 3 basis points less. Like, let's address that one. Like, Micah, what does that ever come up for you? You charge a premium fee relative to what a lot of people say.
Sure.
How often do people say like, hey, I heard I can get this for free somewhere else? How do you handle that?
So most of the time, prospects come in and they don't say, I can get it free somewhere else, or they don't say that XYZ is charging less. They come in and say, I know you're the most expensive. They lead with that. And I said, well, great. I'm glad you know that. And I just own it. It says, you know what we are? We provide a high value to our clients. I'm happy to talk about more on what that looks like. And we charge a premium fee for that because we only work with a select group of clients. That's it. And I own it and I appreciate it. And all of those statements are very, very true. We add massive value to our clients. Right now, I'm not necessarily comparing everything we're doing to our competitors. That's one approach. I'm saying is the value that I'm doing, because value is in 2 perspectives. It's the eye of the beholder, right? So it's going to be the client has to say yes to it, but I got to be really happy with the fees that I'm charging, the value I'm providing. So based on all the value adds I'm doing, based on our service model, based on everything else I have going on in financial planning, am I worth that 2%? The answer is yes. And then that's my real belief at the end of the day. Then, John, that's going to echo because my clients are paying that as well, and they're still referring me, and I'm still bringing on clients, and I'm still getting that yes. So I get that value side from 2 perspectives.
John, I don't want to make this worse for you, but I'm going to. Here's something I've noticed. I look at a lot of ADVs. It's a morbid curiosity of mine. And I also look at a lot of practices, like when I'm coaching. Yeah, no, it's one of my guilty pleasures. Not only are you, per the ADV, going to be charging more, I promise you that all of those advisors are dramatically discounting their fees. So whatever their stated fees, I promise you they're charging way less than that. And we get hung up on this idea like that they must have done this careful analysis. Like they flipped over the 10 commandments and on the back, they saw the 11th commandment was the fee schedule. And the truth is, and again, I talked to all these advisors, they're just as scared as everyone else is. Their fee came from whatever somebody told. I mean, Micah, like how you came up with your fee is like, it blew my mind when I thought, man, Micah has this figured out. Like when he calculated his fee, it's because he really did some analysis on this thing. And it was just the range that the TAMP allowed. Like, is this a true story? Like you saw what the TAMP fee range was and you thought, well, like, why don't I do the high one?
Yeah, that was it. It was what the TAMP said I could charge. At the BD at the time was like, this was the range that I could charge. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm just going to pick this option. I wish I could say there was better logic that went into it. There just wasn't. I was blissfully ignorant of what it meant. And I didn't look at my competitors, thank God, and to see what they were charging or not charging. I was just like, oh, okay, well, I think I'm worth a lot. Next. And that was about it. That's as complex as I made it.
John, let's flip this equation over, right? So we can clearly see, we can always see our fears. Like we can see our fear of being the most expensive one. We imagine that people are going to come in. They're not going to come in. They're going to say whatever they're going to say. What are some of the advantages? Let's say you're objectively the most expensive firm in town. I don't think that's true, but let's say you're objective. What are the advantages of that to you, to your clients? What are the advantages?
Well, anybody that's going to balk at price, I mean, probably would not be a fit to begin with if they don't see the value. So if they don't see the value, we've always said cost only becomes an object in the absence of value. I'm a big believer in that. So
yeah.
Okay. So advantage number one, screens out the tire kickers, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What else?
That's really the big one in my mind. Feel free to jump in to give me other reasons of why that would be good.
Here's one thing that I like about charging, let's just say a twice as high a fee as most other advisors. I have to bring on half as many clients.
Yes.
Yeah.
Guess what that means? I have time. Let's not undermine that. I have more time I can dedicate to my clients because I have to bring on half as much as the other advisor. So if we have Bob, an advisor down the street that says he's charging 1%, they're really charging 75 bips. They got to charge darn near, they got to have 3 times as many clients as I have to have in order to provide to get the same revenue. Great news, I get the revenue, but that's 3 times as much, that's 3x as much time that I have to provide value to those clients. That's a huge win for your clients, John.
Less people you have to put on your bus.
Yeah, and more service. You got an advisor friend used to be across the street from my office. He had 600 clients. His surge cycle was he would meet with them every 2 years. That was it. Like you could come in, you're next to meeting. Like we thought it was hard to get on Micah's calendar. He's like, no, it's 2023, August 2025. I'll meet with you. His fees were way less than mine. He had 600 active clients. So when people came in and they were concerned about fees, it was great news. Go see Bob down the street. He's a lot cheaper than I am. You could talk to him every 2 years. I want to talk to somebody quarterly. Oh, well, that's what we're able to do because we charge a premium fee.
Now, John, have you talked to any of your clients or prospects yet about the fee increase?
No, that's going to be part of our fall surge, which will start in September.
And you're doing it.
We're laying the groundwork for that.
Remind me, are you going to do it in person or are you going to send a letter about your fee increase? Which way are you going?
I'm definitely doing it in person.
Yes, absolutely. All right. I love the in-person one. Jarvis is like, I don't get it. You guys are glutton for punishment. Here's my prediction that I'm going to throw out there with you, right? And, and I'm delighted to chat with you more as this gets closer and closer because unfortunately you're not done with your head trash, is if we position this correctly, you are going to get so much confidence boosted meeting with your clients because as you go through this, right, you're going to do the first 45 minutes of your meeting, do nothing but adding value. In the first 15 minutes, when you talk about your agenda, you say, great news at the end of today. I want to talk about some new excited changes we're thinking about for this year. Then you're going to do your normal meeting. At the end of that meeting, at that last 15 minutes, you're going to action items, et cetera. Say one more thing. We're making some excited changes this year, and I wanted to do a quick survey with our clients and see how we're taking care of you. And just ask them a couple of questions, right? Are you happy with our services? Yes, no, yeah. So John, you're fantastic. Is there anything else we can do to improve, to add more value? Boy, John, I can't think of anything. You guys just do anything really well. Well, you know what? If you think of anything, would you just let us know? I'd really appreciate that because we're always trying to add more value. And they're saying, yeah, happy to. Great. Well, going forward, we're going to make a slight change. As you know, we haven't increased our fees in a long time, and we're just going to have a slight increase in your fee this year. And to continue working forward, it's just going to be X. I'm going to have the documents right there. And we're going to be done. And it's going to feel awkward. So you got to role play this. You got to work this conversation out. But the client's already gone through in their mind. This is, wait, this is worth a lot of money. This is worth a lot of value. And there's nothing I could see that John could instantly improve in order to add more value. And so this fee raise becomes very liberating because it's a clear justification that you are doing a solid job in financial planning. But it's scary to ask for that.
It's John, it's real scary. Mike and I are coaching another advisor who has a phenomenal practice, very, very successful practice, hasn't done a fee increase in, I don't know, 10 years or something. And so we walked him through extreme accountability, same thing, doing his fee increase. He was messaging us the week before his fee increase, like, can I crawl under a rock and die?
Yes.
I think all my team's going to quit. I think all of my clients are going to leave me. He calls us the week after he started doing fee increase conversations, and he says, the best thing I've ever done for my practice. Now, again, this is before he's gotten $1 of the fee increase. Like, he's not saying like, hey, look at all this extra money I'm making that I can now invest in personal development. I can have fewer clients, like all of these things. He's saying, hey, to have that discussion that Micah just walked through, to have that with my clients has been transformative for my practice. So we all walk into this thing wanting to throw up in a bucket. Like we all do, John. Like that urge, you're like, how did I meet these guys? I never want to talk to them again. Cancel my membership. Like that's normal. That's because you're a good advisor and you care about your clients. This is the next stage. Like we have to get our mind around, to Micah's point, this is a better path for the client. More time for personal and professional development, healthier profit margins, right? So when the markets turn down, you're not one of these advisors that are taking out a loan to cover payroll. All of these things are better for your practice.
All right, John, what's that big head trash? You're like, holy crap, when I do this, this is going to happen. What is that?
I think the head trash has been, I've implemented a lot of the value adds that INVICTUS has helped me with over the last over a year now. And I think the head trash is just going from 0 to 60 in like no time. Like, I guess I learned from your experience, Matt, that you started at 250,000, then you went to 500 and then to 750. It's like, well, why can't I do that? So,
because you didn't have a Micah Schlansky in your life. I didn't either. I had to figure this darn thing out. I took the punishment again and again and again.
How many times do you want to go through this head trash? I mean, that's the question. How many times do you want to rip off the Band-Aid?
Yeah, no, I will get there. I mean, and I'll probably go through it and not regret it, but
John, I promise you, we've talked to advisors that next year I'll raise my fees, next year I'll raise my fees, next year I'll do search. It never gets easier until you've done it. Yeah. It's like cliff jumping. Like as soon as you jump, you're like, wow, this is amazing. Standing on the edge of the cliff, the longer you stand there, the worse it gets. Yeah.
I guess from what I'm also learning from you is that you're really not concerned with what the advisors around you are charging.
I'm curious, but it's just a morbid curiosity. No, because I don't know what value they're doing. In fact, I know they're not doing value because I see these practices. When was the last time they reviewed beneficiaries of their clients? Never. When was the last time they did estate planning? Never. They don't even have their clients' estate documents. When was the last time they did tax planning? They don't even have their clients' tax returns, right? So I get hung up on saying somebody who's just putting the money in a TAMP is charging X, and I'm doing all of this. Like I would argue strenuously that the three of us are dramatically undercharging. No hedge fund that's charging 2 and 20 is also helping doing their estate planning. No, it's just not happening. So I'm going to get on my soapbox here. Like we are dramatically undercharging relative to the value we provide in the industry.
Amen. And so part of me is like, why can't we charge 10x what we currently charge? Well, the client would run out of money, right? So clearly that doesn't work. So that's not going to be valuable. But to Jarvis's point, we add so much value in our clients' lives. John, it's okay to get paid for it. It is. There's nothing wrong with getting paid for the value that you provide. And you are not an average advisor. Quit looking at the competition. Look at where you want to go and say, hey, this is the best way that's going to help grow our firm to add more value. Now, you're like, potentially, so correct me if I'm wrong, like, I don't see how this really adds more value. Jarvis and I on the other side, which coached hundreds of advisors, we can say, no, we can show you hundreds of times where this step is key in adding the next level of value. Okay. The same thing we're doing on value adds, right? Like, holy crap, I can see how it's beneficial to clients, but it's a lot of work. Then you do it, and then your client's like, hey, I really like this. This is great content. You feel more confident in your financial planning. You do surge meetings. You're like, how is getting all my clients in a limited time? How is that beneficial? Then you do it like, holy crap, this adds more value. I can see what this is. This is that next step that will add more value to your clients.
John, here's what I give you your action item, and for all of our listeners, your action as well. I would fear set this. So go back and watch the Tim Ferriss fear setting TED Talk. If you've seen it before, watch it again. Really write out, right? Don't think through, like write out on paper, like what is it I'm worried is going to happen? And then what would I do? We know that there are clients who are glad to pay the fee that you're going to have. Because Mike and I have practices full of them. Like, so even if the clients you currently have, even if the people that are currently across the street say that fee is too high, which I don't think is going to happen, but even if it does, you won't end up homeless. Like you won't be holding a signed will financial plan for food. I know that's where our mind goes because that's where all of our mind goes. Like if I raise my fee, my clients will all leave, not just those clients, all clients. My family will leave me. And probably by the end of today, like by 4 p.m. Eastern time, I'll be holding a signed will financial plan for food because that's where all of our minds go.
Mm-hmm. It's great.
All right, so do that fear setting. That's there. John, if you run into any of those fears because you're an Invictus member, right? If you've run into those fears, you're like, holy crap, I can't get over this. Send it to us. Let's jump on the call again. Let's get this resolved. I want you going into Surge confident in this fee increase because you're a good advisor. You know this. The more confident you are in our recommendations to client, the more they're going to follow it. This is the exact same thing.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, man. Hey, thank you for jumping on the show today, for being willing to be vulnerable with this. What you're doing is the right move.
Well,
Zero doubts. Zero doubts. Go ahead, Micah.
I got to ask this question quick. John, has this been helpful? You still got the deer in your headlights look. So has this been helpful or not?
I still hate both you guys.
That's fair.
Well, that's why I joined the program, so I could just hate you. So that's right. No, this is helpful for sure. And I can understand where you say this is an integral step in the process. Mm-hmm. So it's just a matter of doing it, and we're laying the groundwork for it to happen. So
awesome.
Yeah. That script that Micah did was pure gold. Like that's a conversation we've had with every client in every meeting. So practice it, like Micah said, again and again. So John, thank you so much for all of our listeners. Make it happen. Until next time, happy planning.
Happy planning.
Information designed to change lives. Financial planning can make you thrive. Start today, don't think twice.